Hello, dear friends. Tell me, have you noticed how some people are given more complex tasks, are promoted faster up the career ladder, while others are hardly noticed at all? And, it's not about luck. It's about someone being able to negotiate and create additional value. In this video, I would like to talk to you about why some people are trusted more than others, what qualities make a person an indispensable employee, and how to become that very indispensable employee. To start, I wanted to discuss with you the point of why some are trusted and others are not. For example, in the book Good to Great, the authors explain that the best employees are not those who just perform tasks well, but those who create systemic value. And as a rule, company leaders evaluate employees based on 3 criteria. And the first is reliability, that is, how well an employee keeps their word and fulfills their commitments. The second is initiative, whether the employee proposes any improvements and creates additional value, that is, sees improvements outside their area of responsibility. And the third is the ability to solve problems. And this includes not only their own problems, but also the ability to identify team problems and sometimes step in at the right moment to help. And here I wanted to give you an example, quite illustrative. Imagine a person who is given a task. The first one forgets, neglects it, and doesn't complete it on time. The second one completes the task, does it on time, and submits it as required. And the third person submits the task on time, but also suggests some improvements. And who do you think, out of these 3 people, the manager is most likely to offer a promotion under equal conditions? Of course, the third one. And now in Russian business, info business, there is such a division of people. Person, one person. And this is exactly 3 types of people. Person 08, the one who doesn't manage to do something, doesn't do it correctly, doesn't do it on time. Person 1, the one who does things well overall and does them on time. And person 1 and 2 who create additional value for the task. And further, I would like to rely on a study from Harvard School. Companies choose not just those who work hard, but those who are capable of solving leaders' problems at an entirely new level. And here I would like to advise you to ask yourself this question, no matter what position you hold, what value do I provide to my leader? For example, the main value of a business assistant is to reduce their leader's time. That is to ensure that they work less, but with higher quality. And for example, every time I provided some response or report to my leader, I tried to make it so that they only needed to answer yes or no. Provide a minimum of information, but ensure that this information is maximally useful. Because a leader will not read long texts. The essence is important to them. And this ability to present information was very important to me as a specialist. Other companies also conducted various studies. And as a rule, they all came to the same conclusion. The most valuable employees are those who possess these 5 qualities. The first is adaptability, to adjust to rapidly changing conditions. The second is emotional intelligence. The third is proactivity. These are the employees who do not wait for instructions, but go ahead and propose some solutions themselves. The fourth is flexibility of thinking. These are the employees who do not get stuck on something already established, on a well-trodden path. And the fifth is the ability for self-development. That is, these are the employees who are ready to constantly improve both their soft and hard skills. Let's quickly go over, for example, what qualities make a person an indispensable employee. And first, it's not just about completing a task, but creating additional value. For example, I not only made a report, but also figured out how to improve the reporting system. Second, it's the ability to take responsibility. If something goes wrong, employee 1 and 2 do not try to make excuses, do not try to say they didn't know something. They see the problem and propose a solution. An indispensable employee focuses not on the problems, but on solving them. An indispensable employee is not afraid of big or complex tasks. They understand that the more complex tasks they are given, the more responsibility they will be entrusted with in the future. And fifth, an indispensable employee knows how to present their work. And the delivery here is super important. I've noticed many times when one department head talks about their achievements in one way and another in a different positive way, highlighting what they have accomplished and how well they have done. And this leads to completely different attitudes towards the teams. For example, if one starts with whining, talking about how everything is bad and difficult, yet everything seems fine and they are completing the tasks. And the second one says, oh, we also did this, and we want to do this. And even if everything in that department is not clear, most likely they will remember the second department more, which presents more positive information. Watch the video until the end. I will tell you the key principle of how to become an indispensable employee super quickly. So, how do you actually become an indispensable employee? First, stop just doing your job. Start analyzing it. What can I do better? How does my work affect others? What value does it bring to the company? For example, if your main value is not about money, then think about what value your work brings to people, to the team, to the manager. If your value is about money, think about how you can bring more, how you can optimize something to reduce the time you spend, for example, on certain tasks. Second, learn to present your results. I understand that the video now sounds like you need to learn to present your results, how to fix it, learn to do it. In fact, this is quite a big topic, and a lot of books have been written about how to sell your ideas. But to simplify everything, I would say this. Don't just speak from the position of what you did, start speaking from the position of what benefits your actions brought to the company. And in fact, this really changes the approach significantly. To task completion, because with some dumb routine tasks, you start thinking about how you can simplify, delegate, or eliminate them altogether. They may be unimportant and not urgent, but if you want to deepen your self-presentation, I recommend finding some literature. For example, the most basic thing that comes to mind is Robert Cialdini's Influence, the Psychology of Persuasion. Start with this book. It talks about how everything is sold to us, and you will be able to understand how you can sell yourself to others. The next point is to develop the skill of decision-making. Instead of a problem, bring 2 or 3 solutions and reprogram your brain. If there is a problem, you need to immediately come up with a solution. This is actually a super skill because it helps combat anxiety. Anxiety has its advantages. It helps to quickly find solutions. Seriously, when something was going wrong, I would start to worry, but solutions were already being sought in my mind, and this super reality always saved me. And this skill can be developed. I was just lucky with anxiety, in quotes. Anxiety helped me develop this skill, but it can be developed without anxiety as well. Start thinking beyond your zone of responsibility. Not just what to do, but why it's important to do it. And the last point is also super important. Learn to build relationships with colleagues. We recently talked with my psychologist, and I said somehow that I don't like talking at work because it's just a waste of time or pointless. I'd rather go and do tasks. Why should I waste time on this chit-chat? And at my job, when I used to go to the office, I also really didn't like it. This going out to smoke, drink coffee, you might sit for a long time and chat. I like to eat alone because I could do it in 15-20 minutes. And then go back to work rather than spending an hour going to a restaurant and waiting for food. In general, it just wasn't my vibe at all. I was telling my psychologist about how I recently watched a video about South Korea and how going to a bar with your boss there, it's a whole culture. And people who don't go to the bar, don't drink with their boss, who lead a sober lifestyle, are likely not to be promoted up the career ladder because while they are at the bar, they communicate, they get to know each other better. And of course, this colleague will be promoted more because the boss knows him better and has spent more time with him. What did the psychologist tell me? She said, Lara, of course, conversations play a super important role in the whole. In this corporate gathering, if you want to be remembered, if you want to be promoted, if you want to be talked about, it's very important to communicate with the right people. And in general, to learn how to communicate, to learn this skill of communication. And yes, it may seem that conversations are inappropriate. It may seem, why chat with colleagues if it leads nowhere, if I don't want to build any friendly relationships with colleagues? If I don't need it, why should I communicate with them now? Yet, it may seem that way. But in reality, you never know which manager might invite you to the next job, or if they will at all, whether they will remember you or give you a good recommendation. I have had many real-life examples when a manager left and called upon their best. He helped his colleagues, he helped them find new jobs and gave the best recommendations, simply because there were good relationships, and that's why I used to undervalue it. But now this year, my goal is to do it properly. To connect and get along with everyone, because I have a very strong need to establish contacts with people. And actually, I'm doing that right now. So yes, building relationships with colleagues, a super important point. It's very important to communicate. If you find it difficult to communicate, if, for example, you don't know who they are to you. For example, I had that experience. I don't know what topics can be discussed and which ones can't. And I try to stick around professional educational topics. Those are the kinds of topics I choose. That way it's easier for me. For more personal matters, I first test the waters. I'm not ready to share certain things with everyone. More time needs to pass for that. But again, for example, I'm not ready to form friendships with colleagues because I've had cases where it led to something not very good. Well, that's if there's a subordinate relationship. I don't know yet. I haven't figured out if I'm ready to be friends with colleagues or not, but communication is necessary. 100%. Even if we're not talking about the corporate world, but rather, I don't know, about freelancing or a small company, it's often very difficult to advance without communication. Communication generally propels you forward. And in conclusion, I wanted to talk about this, the concept of person one and person two. I try to be that person. With the managers I've worked with, I even asked what type of person I am and what I need to improve to be person one and two. And do you know what helped me? I often ask myself how I could do better, what added value, what extra can I do beyond the task. That is, if my manager asks me to prepare a presentation, I try to organize the slides in a way that is clear to her with all the references. I send it to her in a nicely structured format, not as a huge block of text. I also tried to notice any systemic problems, but that's because I have a super systematic mind. I need everything to be organized. So when I saw recurring issues, I often suggested some kind of solution. I thought about how it could be fixed and how to establish a process that would truly work. And yes, another very important point is to show your results not through "I tried," but through facts and figures. This gives a completely different impression of you and is also super useful for yourself, because it's one thing when you simply write down the facts of your tasks for the week. For example, and another thing when you outline a plan, record the facts and note the percentage of task completion. When you see what percentage of the planned tasks you completed, it's already at the level of numbers. And if you see it's not 100%, you can assess why it's not 100. What prevented you from achieving 100? What tasks were added? And which tasks you didn't manage to complete? And from these numbers, some conclusions emerge, meaning two different ways of presenting information. Although, essentially, it's the same thing. But here, one number was added from this number. You can already draw such conclusions. Just wow. With that, my video is coming to an end. Thank you very much for watching. Write your comments. Write in the comments what kind of person you are, how you think, and what you will take from this video for yourself. I wish you great growth in your career. I wish for you to be person one and two. And, don't wait for a promotion. Create value right now. I will be waiting for your comments. Like, subscribe to my channel, and goodbye to everyone.